The world before history is a place unrecognizable to us today. Vast forests stretch endlessly, rivers carve their way through the land, and the wind carries the scent of unknown dangers. The air is heavy with the quiet hum of life, yet it is a fragile calm, easily shattered by the sharp cry of a predator or the sudden rustle of leaves. This is a world where every step could be your last, where survival is not guaranteed, and where humans, still finding their place, are at once creators, hunters, and prey. Imagine a small band of early humans, moving cautiously through a mist-covered forest. Their eyes scan the shadows, ears attuned to every crack of a twig or distant roar. There is no written language, no map to guide them, only intuition, instinct, and the hard-earned lessons of countless generations. Each figure carries not just the weight of their body but the burden of survival itself. A mother cradles her child close, glancing nervously over her shoulder. A young hunter tightens his grip on a crude spear, the tip sharpened from stone and bone. Every heartbeat is a negotiation with fate. In the distance, the low rumble of a river can be heard, but it is not a comforting sound. Water brings life, yes, but it also brings peril. Predators lurk along its banks, and the current itself can claim the unwary. The humans move slowly, deliberately, their senses heightened. Every rustle in the undergrowth, every flicker of movement across the riverbank sets nerves on edge. One wrong step, one moment of distraction, could mean death. And yet, it is not fear alone that drives them, it is curiosity, ingenuity, and an unspoken understanding that survival is possible, if one learns to read the signs the world provides. As they advance deeper into the forest, the shadows grow longer, and the light fades. The air becomes colder, the mist thicker, as if the land itself is conspiring to obscure the path ahead. There is a rhythm to their movements, an unspoken language passed through glances and gestures. They know the dangers, yet they press forward. Every leaf that trembles, every branch that snaps, carries a story of a world where life and death are inseparable companions. Suddenly, one of the hunters halts. He crouches low, hand raised in warning. The others freeze instinctively. In the mud at their feet is a footprint, unmistakably human, but unlike their own. It is fresh, and its presence sends a shiver through the group. Who else is in these woods? A rival clan? A wandering predator? Or perhaps a mysterious figure, moving unseen, leaving traces of their existence for others to stumble upon? The footprint is a silent witness, a cryptic message written by time itself, hinting at dangers and secrets beyond the understanding of these early humans. Even as the group debates their next move, the forest seems to close in around them. Every shadow flickers with possibility, every sound resonates with threat. Yet within this tension lies a spark, the spark of awareness, the dawn of ingenuity, the fragile beginnings of human resilience. This is the stage on which the first stories of survival will unfold, where courage, cunning, and chance will intertwine. The audience feels the weight of the unknown pressing from all sides, a slow-burning tension that hints at both wonder and terror. And as the mist drifts through the trees and the light of day wanes, one question lingers, hanging in the air like the echo of a distant cry: who, or what, will claim the next moment? The answer is hidden, waiting to be revealed in the shadows of a world that existed long before history began. The morning sun filters through the dense canopy, illuminating fragments of a world untouched by time. Here, early humans navigate a landscape alive with both promise and peril. Each face tells a story, etched with the quiet tension of survival. They are hunters and gatherers, yet also storytellers in their own way, carrying knowledge of the forest, the rivers, and the beasts that stalk the shadows. They are cautious, yet curious, always balancing instinct against the unforgiving realities of nature. Among them is a mother, her eyes scanning the horizon, her hand resting on the small, soft body of her child. She is vigilant, knowing that her offspring's survival depends not only on her vigilance but on the cooperation of the group. Each member of this band carries a role, defined by necessity and skill rather than status. A young hunter crouches beside her, the tension in his muscles mirrored by the tight grip on a spear tipped with stone. His eyes flicker toward the dark edges of the forest, reading every movement, every sound, as if the trees themselves are whispering secrets. The group moves in careful formation, their footsteps muffled by the thick undergrowth. Their senses are heightened in a world where the smallest misstep can spell disaster. A sudden crack of a branch makes hearts race. They freeze, holding their breath. In these moments, time stretches and contracts simultaneously. A second can feel like an eternity when life hangs by the thinnest of threads. They are constantly aware of predators lurking unseen, of rival clans that might claim their territory, or of misfortune that strikes without warning. Yet even amidst this tension, there is cooperation, an unspoken trust built through shared danger. Life is not just a matter of evading death, it is also about learning, observing, and adapting. They watch the flight of birds, the tracks of animals in the mud, the signs of weather patterns. Each clue is a lesson, a fragment of knowledge that might one day tip the scales in their favor. A young gatherer kneels beside a patch of strange-looking roots, turning them over, testing for edibility with tentative bites. Her expression is cautious, every muscle taut with the memory of past mistakes, a plant that burned the mouth, a fruit that brought fever. Survival is a slow, painstaking teacher, exacting a toll for every misstep. Within the group, individual stories begin to emerge. The hunter who lost his brother to a predator now moves with quiet precision, a shadow of grief shaping every decision. The elder, once a vigorous warrior, now guides the group with patience and caution, each word carrying the weight of experience. The child observes, absorbing the patterns of behavior, unknowingly learning lessons that will outlast the adults themselves. Human drama unfolds not just against the backdrop of nature but within the fragile bonds of kinship and trust. Tensions simmer beneath the surface, jealousy over a successful hunt, the subtle friction of conflicting instincts, creating a web of interpersonal dynamics as intricate and unpredictable as the forest they inhabit. The air shifts suddenly, carrying a scent that makes the hunter stiffen. Something has moved ahead, too large for a deer, too silent for a flock of birds. Eyes dart to every shadow, muscles tighten, and instinct takes over. Every heartbeat is magnified, every breath a calculated risk. This is not just survival, it is the theater of life and death played out in real time, where the consequences of error are permanent and immediate. They follow the spoor, tracing it carefully, balancing the desire for food with the imperative to stay alive. As the group navigates the terrain, suspense builds around the unknown. What lies ahead is not merely a question of prey or predator but of fate itself. The tension is almost tangible, the forest alive with possibility and threat. A sudden rustle in the bushes freezes everyone mid-step. They exchange glances, communicating in silent, rehearsed gestures. The audience feels this unease as if their own pulse has quickened, caught in the web of anticipation that the forest creates. Even in these moments of extreme caution, there is wonder. The first signs of camaraderie, of cooperation, of collective strategy, are visible in the way the hunters coordinate silently, how the gatherers watch and learn. Every survival choice is a tiny victory, a testament to human ingenuity emerging from instinct. And yet, despite these small triumphs, the shadow of uncertainty looms. Who else shares this space? Are they merely observers of an unforgiving environment, or are rival humans, equally desperate, waiting for a moment to strike? The section closes on a tense moment, a sudden, distant roar that freezes the group in place. Eyes widen, muscles tense, breath caught in throats. The forest itself seems to hold its breath, the silence that follows heavier than the noise that preceded it. This sound, primal and unrelenting, promises danger and forces the group to make a choice, to press forward in pursuit of sustenance, or retreat to safety, knowing that hesitation could mean starvation or death. The decision hangs in the air, unresolved, leaving the audience suspended in a moment of primal tension, eager to follow the outcome of this fragile band of humans as they navigate a world that is as deadly as it is breathtaking. Hunger is the first and most relentless teacher. It sharpens the senses, heightens the heart, and forces choices that can mean the difference between life and death. In this early world, food is never guaranteed. The forest, the plains, the riverbanks, each offers bounty, but each conceals peril. A careless step or a poorly timed attack can turn a hunt into a disaster. And yet, humans persist, driven not just by instinct but by curiosity, ingenuity, and the unspoken understanding that survival is only possible through learning, adaptation, and risk. The band moves through a narrow valley, each step deliberate, ears straining for the faintest indication of life. A young hunter scans the terrain, fingers brushing the leaves, reading the earth like a story written in mud and fallen branches. Tracks of deer, elk, and smaller game crisscross the soil. They pause, crouching low, analyzing each print, direction, size, gait, signs that may tell them where the prey is heading, or what dangers lie in wait. Every movement is a negotiation with the unknown. A sudden rustle interrupts their careful calculations. Heads snap toward the sound. It is a deer, small but alert, ears twitching as it senses the humans. The hunter signals with a precise movement, and the band fans out silently, encircling their target. Every breath is controlled, every muscle taut with tension. The audience feels the heartbeat of the forest, a symphony of danger and anticipation. This is a hunt where patience is as lethal a weapon as the spear. The attack begins. A spear is thrown, and the deer staggers. A second spear lands, and the tension escalates. The prey struggles desperately, dragging one of the hunters with it. The forest is filled with the sounds of exertion, panic, and the raw cries of survival. It is brutal, visceral, and frighteningly immediate. Injuries happen in seconds, mistakes are unforgiving. One hunter stumbles over a root, another nearly falls into a hidden ravine. Blood, sweat, and mud intermingle in a chaotic dance of life and death. Even amidst the violence, there is a spark of ingenuity. The group adapts on the fly, repositioning, improvising, learning in real time. The young hunter who nearly fell catches a second wind, realizing the deer's path and cutting it off. Every moment is a test of skill, courage, and instinct. Each small victory is shadowed by the possibility of failure, every success by the looming threat of danger. It is an education written in blood and motion, lessons that will echo in the practices of generations to come. But the hunt is not without cost. A hunter is scratched by a claw hidden in the underbrush, and the wound, though minor, becomes a source of tension. The group must decide, press forward in pursuit of nourishment or retreat to prevent further injury. Survival is a balance, a constant weighing of risk and reward. Each choice carries consequences, and the forest seems to sense indecision, pressing in with shadows, sounds, and sudden glimpses of movement just beyond vision. The psychological toll is as great as the physical. Hunger gnaws relentlessly, sharpening irritability, stirring conflict, and challenging trust within the group. The mother from the morning watches the hunters, her eyes calculating the odds, wondering if the risk is worth the reward. The child, sensing the tension, clings to her side, absorbing lessons in caution and courage without fully understanding them. Even the elder, calm and deliberate, cannot fully mask the anxiety that underpins every decision. Suspense hangs in the air as thick as the morning fog, leaving both humans and viewers on edge. Gradually, the prey tires. The group corners it, and a final, coordinated effort brings the hunt to a close. The tension erupts into relief and triumph, but it is fleeting. The work of survival does not end with a kill. The group must process, divide, and transport the food, all while remaining vigilant. Predators are drawn to the scent of blood, and rival humans may have been watching, waiting for a chance to steal what they did not earn. Every victory carries the shadow of loss. The hunt is also a lesson in adaptation and innovation. Improvised traps are tested, the terrain is studied for patterns, and strategies for future hunts are discussed in gestures and grunts. Knowledge is passed between individuals, a silent, vital education that ensures not only survival but growth. Each successful hunt builds confidence, strengthens bonds, and deepens understanding of a world that is at once beautiful, dangerous, and incomprehensibly complex. Yet, as the day wanes, an unease lingers. The forest seems to whisper with unseen eyes. A distant growl reverberates through the trees, reminding them that their triumph is temporary, fragile. The tension is far from resolved. Questions hang heavy: what other predators lurk unseen? Will rival groups claim territory or resources? Will misfortune strike when least expected? The audience is left at the edge of suspense, invested not just in the hunt itself, but in the fragile threads of survival that bind these early humans to their world. As night approaches, the band gathers around the sparse fire they have managed to keep alive. The day's success is tempered by exhaustion and the knowledge that the forest's challenges are endless. Shadows flicker across tired faces, revealing lines of fear, relief, and quiet pride. The audience feels the weight of history pressing down. Each small action, each risk taken, is part of a larger story, a slow unfolding of humanity's earliest lessons in endurance, intelligence, and resilience. And as the fire crackles, illuminating the darkness and casting long, uncertain shadows, one lingering thought remains: survival is never complete. Every meal is hard-won, every step forward precarious. Hunger is a teacher without mercy, and the forest is a classroom without walls. The story of early humans is not only about what they ate or how they hunted, but about the fragile, unbreakable will to live, to adapt, and to endure against every possible obstacle. The audience is left with the echo of that relentless tension, eager to follow the next chapter of human ingenuity, risk, and courage. The first spark of fire was not a gift, but a terror. Its light flickered against the darkness, casting shadows that seemed alive, moving and twisting in the night. Early humans had seen it in storms, in lightning strikes, and perhaps from volcanic fissures, but controlling it, understanding it, and harnessing it was an entirely different matter. The discovery of fire did not arrive as a single moment of triumph, but as a slow, uncertain experiment fraught with danger, awe, and countless failures. One wrong touch, one careless breath, could turn the most promising discovery into a consuming blaze. In the heart of a forested valley, a small group huddles near a patch of smoldering embers left from a lightning strike. The mother watches the children from a cautious distance, knowing the delicate balance between curiosity and catastrophe. A young hunter approaches the fire with trepidation, poking at it with a stick, marveling at the heat, the glow, and the strange way it seems to respond to attention. The audience senses the tension immediately. The same spark that promises warmth and protection could just as easily consume them all. The first attempts to control fire are awkward, experimental, and often disastrous. A pile of dry leaves catches too quickly, and the group scrambles to smother it with dirt. Smoke stings their eyes, and the smell of burning foliage fills their nostrils. Heartbeats race. They learn quickly that fire is both a tool and a predator, unpredictable and demanding. The young hunter withdraws a singed finger from the flame, a silent testament to the lessons learned in pain. In this moment, the audience feels the precariousness of every innovation, the thin line separating genius from disaster. Yet, fire is mesmerizing. It draws the humans in, hypnotizing them with its movement and warmth. Shadows dance across their faces, flickering in the eyes of the mother as she watches her child's fascination. The night, once a domain of terror and the unknown, becomes partially illuminated, revealing shapes and patterns that were previously hidden. The predators of the dark, once invisible and unstoppable, now shrink at the edge of light. This small circle of warmth and illumination is a tiny fortress in an otherwise merciless world. The tension is slow burning. The audience senses both safety and the ever-present threat lurking just beyond the firelight. The experimentation continues over days and weeks. Sparks are coaxed from flint, dried wood is stacked carefully, and smoke signals are tested to communicate with others at a distance. Each success is small, incremental, but monumental in impact. They learn which woods burn steadily, which leaves ignite too fast, and how to carry embers without losing them to wind or rain. Each minor victory brings joy, but also anxiety. The forest outside is always waiting, filled with unseen dangers that can turn triumph into tragedy. The suspense builds as every experiment is a gamble, and the consequences are immediate and personal. Fire transforms more than the night. It changes the way early humans live, sleep, and interact. Around the fire, meals are cooked, making food easier to digest and safer to consume. Injuries that once meant slow, painful deaths can now be cauterized. Groups gather around the fire, sharing warmth and stories, learning from each other's successes and mistakes. This communal aspect is subtle but profound. Fire fosters social cohesion, trust, and communication. The audience begins to see early humans not just as isolated survivors, but as thinkers, planners, and innovators. Even in these small triumphs, the narrative tension persists. The forest is never fully tamed. Smoke draws attention, both from curious predators and rival human groups. Sparks threaten to ignite the surrounding undergrowth. The wind shifts unexpectedly, scattering embers and sending hearts racing. Every advantage gained through fire comes with new vulnerabilities. The humans must remain vigilant, clever, and coordinated, reinforcing the cinematic suspense and the delicate interplay of risk and reward. Psychologically, fire transforms perception itself. Darkness no longer holds the same omnipresent threat. Shadows are tamed, but imagination now fills the illuminated space with new fears and possibilities. Rituals begin to form, gestures around the fire, repeated movements, an early form of ceremony that hints at culture yet to emerge. A flickering flame becomes a teacher, a protector, and a symbol of human ingenuity. The audience witnesses the profound awe and fear that coexist in the human mind, the same awe that will one day give rise to myths, stories, and civilizations. One night, as the wind howls through the valley, a sudden gust threatens to extinguish the fragile fire. The group leaps into action, smothering embers with damp leaves, coaxing sparks back into life with frantic breaths and careful sticks. The danger is immediate, visceral, and cinematic. In this single moment, the audience feels both suspense and relief, experiencing the intimate stakes of discovery in a world that will not forgive error. In the aftermath, the humans sit closer together, faces illuminated, eyes wide with the knowledge of their achievement and the reminder of its fragility. Fire has given them control, yet it is not absolute. Every flicker is a lesson, every ember a story, every shadow a warning. The audience senses the slow, inexorable rise of human ingenuity, but also the persistent vulnerability that ensures tension remains, even in triumph. And in the quiet moments, as the fire crackles and the night whispers through the trees, there is a sense of anticipation, an unspoken question: what will this newfound power enable them to do next? How will it change the way they hunt, gather, protect, and understand the world? The spark of fire is more than warmth, it is the beginning of human mastery over nature, the first step toward civilization itself, and a reminder that every discovery comes wrapped in risk, fear, and awe. The fire burns steadily, illuminating faces etched with exhaustion, wonder, and determination. The shadows it casts hint at challenges still to come, dangers yet unseen, and knowledge still undiscovered. The audience is left suspended, aware that fire has transformed these humans in ways they themselves barely understand. Survival has shifted from mere endurance to strategy, innovation, and collaboration. The night stretches on, alive with potential, suspense, and the unyielding pulse of life struggling against the unknown. The first tools were crude, yet they changed everything. A sharp stone could cut flesh, scrape hide, or split wood. A pointed stick could dig roots or pierce prey. The discovery of tools was not a single epiphany, but a gradual, painstaking process of trial, error, and observation. Early humans were both students and teachers, learning from the land, from the failures of their own hands, and from the subtle movements of animals. Every tool created carried a dual potential: it could be a lifeline, or it could turn against them if misused. In the soft light of dawn, a young hunter crouches near a riverbank, examining a collection of stones. His fingers trace the jagged edges, testing the sharpness, imagining their possible uses. The river gurgles beside him, indifferent to the fragile lives that rely on its sustenance. He selects a stone and strikes it against another, sparks flying, fragments chipping off with every strike. Each piece holds promise, but also danger, a cut, a puncture, a slip that could end the day in blood. Suspense hangs in every motion, the audience acutely aware of the fragile boundary between survival and calamity. Around him, the group observes. The elder watches quietly, nodding with approval at ingenuity but alert to mistakes. The mother keeps a careful eye on her child, sensing both curiosity and the latent peril in every experimental strike. Each individual carries a story, etched with lessons learned from past missteps. One hunter had lost an eye to a misplaced spear, another bore scars from a poorly timed blade. These histories linger in their movements, shaping caution, skill, and strategy. Every action is weighed, every choice carries consequence, and the audience is drawn into a tense, intimate understanding of survival. Tools are not just extensions of the hand, they are instruments of foresight and planning. A spear must be sharpened at the right angle, a trap must be set in the path of unsuspecting prey. Improvisation is key, yet so is patience. A poorly placed snare can snap uselessly, alerting animals to danger and wasting precious time. A chipped blade can fail mid-hunt, leaving a hunter vulnerable to retaliation. The stakes are immediate and visceral, and the suspense is unrelenting. Each innovation is a story in itself, a testament to human ingenuity in the face of constant threat. The process of creation is messy and dangerous. A young apprentice learns by watching, mimicking, and making mistakes. He presses too hard on a flint, slicing his palm, the blood drips into the soil, a vivid reminder of the stakes. The elder guides him, showing the rhythm of striking, the angle of precision, the patience required for mastery. It is a slow, painstaking education, each lesson earned through trial and consequence. The audience feels every heartbeat, every twinge of tension, as the line between survival and injury narrows with each attempt. Weapons are the ultimate test of this newfound skill. Spears are thrust into the soil and tested against logs, knives slice through roots, hide, and meat. Each tool is designed with purpose, yet subject to the unpredictability of the environment. The group practices hunting techniques, experimenting with timing, angles, and coordination. A single misstep can provoke disaster, a misjudged throw can drive prey away, leave a hunter exposed, or trigger retaliation from larger predators. The suspense is constant, a low hum of tension threaded through every demonstration of skill. Interpersonal dynamics amplify the tension. Jealousy, pride, and ambition simmer beneath the surface. The young hunter who excels at crafting a spear draws admiration and envy in equal measure. The elder observes silently, aware that these small competitions are vital, they drive innovation, sharpen skill, and prepare the next generation for the relentless challenges of survival. Yet they are also fraught with risk. A careless boast or overconfidence can provoke disaster, and the audience senses that danger is always lurking, even within the bonds of the group. Tools also shape strategy, expanding the possibilities for hunting and gathering. With a spear, prey can be struck from a distance, with a sharp blade, hides can be processed efficiently, food can be preserved, and shelters can be reinforced. The group experiments with traps and rudimentary snares, learning to predict the behavior of animals, to anticipate movement, and to manipulate their environment subtly. Every success carries elation, every failure brings the weight of consequence. The tension oscillates between hope and peril, drawing the audience deeper into the fragile calculus of early human survival. The forest itself is a silent teacher. Observation of animal behavior informs the design of traps, the flow of rivers determines the placement of fishing tools, the terrain shapes the methods of movement and attack. Humans learn to synchronize with nature, yet always remain vulnerable to its unpredictable fury. A sudden flash of movement, a rustle in the brush, or the distant roar of a predator reminds them of their precarious position. Suspense threads through each moment, a constant pulse that mirrors the rhythms of life and death in the wilderness. By midday, the group tests their new weapons on live prey. The hunt is tense, choreographed yet unpredictable. Spears fly, nets are drawn tight, and the struggle of predator and prey unfolds in real time. Injuries occur, mistakes are made, but so too are discoveries, the angle of a strike, the timing of a throw, the clever use of terrain. Each success builds confidence, each failure etches a lesson into memory. The audience experiences both exhilaration and dread, feeling the stakes intimately through cinematic description and humanized character perspective. As night approaches, the group gathers around a modest fire. Tools are cleaned, repaired, and discussed. The young apprentice reflects on the day, exhausted but enlightened. The elder nods in quiet satisfaction, knowing that the seeds of knowledge have been planted. Shadows flicker across faces marked by effort, concentration, and the raw intensity of survival. The suspense does not vanish, tomorrow brings new hunts, new risks, and new lessons, but for this brief moment, the group celebrates mastery over the materials they have shaped, and by extension, a measure of control over their world. The day ends with quiet reflection. Every tool carries a story, of trial and error, of ingenuity born from necessity, of the fragile triumphs that enable survival. The forest looms outside, indifferent, yet the humans within are changed. Their hands, once empty, now hold the promise of mastery over their environment, the ability to shape their destiny, and the knowledge that survival is an art honed through patience, observation, and courage. The audience senses that these first tools are more than mere instruments, they are the foundation of human innovation, the beginning of strategy, and the birth of ingenuity that will echo across millennia. And yet, even as the fire burns and the group rests, tension lingers. The forest is alive, predators are near, and the outcomes of tomorrow are unknown. Each tool, each weapon, each lesson carries both hope and risk. The audience is left suspended, aware that human mastery is tentative, fragile, and hard-won, and that every triumph is inseparable from danger, every discovery threaded with uncertainty. Survival is never complete, the stakes remain as high as ever, and the story of early human ingenuity continues to unfold. The forest is alive in ways that early humans have only begun to understand. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig, every distant howl carries meaning. The group moves cautiously, senses sharpened by weeks of observation, practice, and survival. Hunger drives them, but so too does instinct, intuition, and the growing confidence born of their previous successes. They are hunters now, not merely wanderers, but the forest has not surrendered its secrets. Danger lurks in every shadow, and every decision carries weight. The lead hunter crouches low, eyes scanning the undergrowth, noting the subtle signs that a trail has been passed, a flattened patch of grass, a broken branch, a hoofprint pressed into the damp earth. Behind him, the others move silently, a choreography honed by necessity, communicating through gestures, glances, and barely audible whispers. The mother keeps the child hidden within the protective circle of the group, her every muscle taut with vigilance. The tension is palpable, every member knows that a single misstep could spell disaster. The prey is elusive, a large stag that has eluded the group for hours. Its tracks are fresh, but the forest conspires to conceal it, shadows mask its movements, wind shifts the scent, and the underbrush conceals its passage. Suspense rises as the hunters trace the trail, following the signs with painstaking care. Each step is a calculation. The audience feels the pulse of anticipation, sensing both the hunter's determination and the unseen challenges that lie ahead. A sudden rustle in the leaves ahead stops the group. The stag is near, hidden in a thicket, alert and wary. The lead hunter signals for patience. The group freezes, holding breath, muscles coiled. The predator within them, the instinct to strike, to seize, battles with the caution that experience has instilled. The tension is cinematic, a slow burn, drawing the audience into a moment where time seems suspended between motion and stillness, between life and death. The hunt begins. Spears are readied, eyes track every subtle movement of the animal. The forest seems to shrink around them, amplifying every sound, every heartbeat. A miscalculated step, a snapped twig, could shatter the strategy, alert the prey, and turn a carefully planned hunt into chaos. The hunter lunges forward with precise timing, throwing his spear. The stag staggers, but not without resistance. It kicks, thrashes, and bolts, forcing the group to adapt instantly. Chaos unfolds in the most precise way. Another hunter positions to intercept the fleeing animal, while the others close in from behind. The struggle is violent and immediate, a battle of skill, strength, and endurance. One hunter slips into a shallow ravine, scrambles to regain footing, heart pounding, while another narrowly avoids the antlers that could impale him. The suspense is unrelenting, the audience feels the tension in every swing of a spear, every step taken on treacherous ground. This is more than a hunt. It is a test of ingenuity, coordination, and nerve. Each member of the group plays a role, relying on learned strategies, observation of the animal's behavior, and a shared understanding that survival demands precision and timing. They anticipate the prey's movements, predicting its direction, adjusting their positions in real time. Even as the stag bleeds, it fights fiercely, reminding humans that the line between hunter and hunted is often thin and shifting. Injuries occur, as they always do. A hunter's hand is grazed by antlers, another slips on wet moss and twists an ankle. The physical toll mirrors the psychological intensity. The forest presses in, predator and prey locked in an intricate, deadly dance. The suspense crescendos as the humans must decide, press forward at risk of injury and failure, or retreat to preserve the lives already imperiled. Every choice is immediate and consequential, the stakes nothing less than life itself. Gradually, through coordination, strategy, and sheer determination, the stag is cornered. Spears fly with deadly precision, the group works in unison, each movement calculated yet fluid. The animal falls, and a moment of triumph erupts, tempered instantly by exhaustion, injuries, and the knowledge that the forest offers no respite. The hunt is over, yet survival continues, the work of processing the kill, transporting it safely, and remaining vigilant against scavengers begins immediately. The forest, though momentarily conquered, remains indifferent. Distant howls remind the group that predators are never far, and rival humans may have been watching, waiting for a chance to seize opportunity. Victory is temporary, fragile, and shadowed by uncertainty. Even in success, suspense remains, the audience aware that the forest never relinquishes its hold easily, that every achievement is hard-won and potentially fleeting. These hunts shape character and culture. The mother, witnessing the skill and courage of the hunters, feels both pride and fear, pride in their capability, fear in their exposure to danger. The young hunter who nearly fell now carries confidence born of trial and triumph, his body and mind hardened by experience. The elder observes silently, understanding that each hunt teaches more than technique, it instills strategy, resilience, patience, and the subtle skills that will define human survival for generations. Night falls, and the group gathers near a fire, processing the day's events. Bloodied hands, sweat-streaked faces, and the scent of the kill mingle with the smoke and warmth. The hunt has been a lesson in life, death, and everything in between. The suspense of the forest has not fully lifted, even here, in the circle of firelight, shadows flicker, and the sounds of the night remind them that the battle for survival never truly ends. Yet within the exhaustion lies triumph. The stag represents sustenance, knowledge gained, and mastery over a small part of the natural world. The hunters share what they have learned, timing, technique, observation, passing critical information to the next generation. Even the young apprentice, previously hesitant and uncertain, now carries confidence, having witnessed firsthand the delicate balance of danger, skill, and strategy. Every hunt is a story etched into memory, a story that will shape culture, behavior, and the future. As the fire crackles, the audience senses the duality of survival, each victory is steeped in peril, every achievement carries potential loss, and the forest, vast and indifferent, continues to challenge, teach, and shape. Humans have learned, adapted, and endured, yet the suspense remains unresolved. The next hunt, the next predator, the next disaster is always ahead, just out of sight, ensuring that the tension and the story of survival will continue to unfold, unbroken and gripping. And so, As night deepens and shadows dance across tired faces, there is a quiet realization: hunting is more than a necessity, it is a crucible. It shapes strength, courage, ingenuity, and unity. Each success is a lesson for the future, each failure a memory etched with consequences. The audience is left suspended, aware that the story is far from over, that the forest holds countless secrets, and that the fragile thread of survival continues, taut, unyielding, and alive. The horizon stretched endlessly, a vast, untamed expanse that promised both hope and peril. Early humans, accustomed to the familiar rhythms of their valleys, forests, and rivers, now faced a world that was largely unknown. Hunger, curiosity, and the instinct to survive drove them forward. Families gathered their few possessions, clinging to fragile tools and makeshift shelters, and stepped into landscapes that offered both opportunity and danger. Every footfall was a gamble, every river crossing, cliff descent, or dense forest passage could be the difference between life and death. As they moved, the tribe became a complex organism, each member playing a crucial role. Hunters scouted ahead, their eyes scanning for prey or threats, muscles tense and ready to spring into action. Mothers tended to children, ensuring they remained safe and fed, while the elders guided the group, offering wisdom born of experience. The tension was constant, a silent drumbeat that reminded everyone that survival was not guaranteed. Even in moments of apparent calm, the potential for disaster lingered in the rustle of leaves, the distant roar of a predator, or the sudden change in weather. Crossing unfamiliar terrain was fraught with challenges. Rivers surged with rainwater, their currents deceptively strong, threatening to sweep away the unwary. Jagged cliffs demanded ingenuity, forcing the tribe to fashion ropes from vines, balance on narrow ledges, and coax frightened children across treacherous paths. Dense forests concealed predators at every turn: wolves, saber-toothed cats, and bears that stalked silently, waiting for a lapse in vigilance. Every obstacle demanded adaptation, testing the limits of human ingenuity and courage. Yet there was more than just environmental danger. Rival tribes occasionally emerged from the shadows, eyes wary, muscles coiled for conflict. These encounters could be deadly, as competing humans vied for the same scarce resources. Misjudgment could result in massacre, diplomacy, cunning, or stealth could save lives. Each confrontation became a lesson in strategy, forcing early humans to anticipate intentions, read subtle cues, and respond with precision. Over time, these encounters honed not only survival skills but also social intelligence, an early form of the strategy and cooperation that would define humanity. Nightfall brought a new layer of tension. Darkness transformed familiar landscapes into a labyrinth of hidden threats. Hunters moving at the edges of the firelight relied on refined senses, acute listening, and the ability to interpret the faintest signs of movement. The tribe had developed ways to communicate silently: a subtle gesture, a flicker of fire, the sound of a stone dropped in a particular pattern. These small adaptations meant the difference between life and death, yet they also heightened suspense, as even the slightest miscommunication could have catastrophic consequences. Environmental unpredictability compounded the threat. Torrential storms flooded rivers, washed away trails, and forced the tribe to take shelter in caves, hollows, or under rocky overhangs. Food sources became scarce after prolonged rain, prompting some to venture farther than safety allowed. Hunger sharpened instincts but also magnified fear. Every misstep could be fatal, every discovery, like a cluster of edible roots or a small herd of deer, became a moment of relief and celebration. These cycles of peril and reward forged resilience, creativity, and resourcefulness that would echo across generations. Despite the constant danger, moments of discovery inspired hope and wonder. New landscapes revealed unfamiliar plants, animals, and materials that could be adapted for tools, clothing, or shelter. The tribe experimented cautiously, testing edibility, durability, and utility. Each trial carried risk: a misjudged plant could poison, a miscalculated trap could injure, yet the knowledge gained expanded the tribe's capacity to survive. Every innovation was a small victory, a step forward in the slow, suspenseful journey of human evolution. Social dynamics evolved as the migration progressed. Leadership was fluid but essential. Those who displayed courage, intelligence, and decisiveness often guided the group, earning trust and authority. Conflicts arose within the tribe as resources were scarce and tensions high. Jealousy, fear, and competition for leadership roles tested relationships and the cohesion of the group. Yet even these internal struggles forged resilience, teaching the value of compromise, strategy, and loyalty in a world that offered no second chances. Predators remained a constant, silent presence. Tracks in the mud, broken branches, and distant howls reminded humans that they were never truly safe. Hunting parties had to coordinate with precision, setting traps, using fire, and improvising strategies to confront animals larger and more dangerous than themselves. Night after night, the tribe learned to anticipate the unpredictable, building experience that would become collective knowledge. Each encounter carried suspense, fear, and exhilaration, as survival relied not just on strength but on observation, planning, and courage. Some nights, the danger became immediate and tangible. A massive predator could appear suddenly, forcing the tribe into a tense standoff. Hunters used every tactic available, feints, fire, weapons, and group coordination, to protect the vulnerable. Panic threatened to unravel their efforts, but instinct, preparation, and cohesion prevailed. These episodes became legendary within the tribe, stories retold around fires as lessons, warnings, and inspirations. The memory of danger shaped every decision, every plan, and every step the tribe took in the uncharted world. Alongside survival, moments of ingenuity emerged. The tribe began marking paths, creating simple tools and shelters adapted to the new environment, and experimenting with fire in inventive ways. Every observation, from animal migration patterns to the changing seasons, was carefully noted and integrated into survival strategies. Each success built confidence, each failure instilled caution. The migration was not just a journey of distance but a journey of learning, trial, and discovery, laying the foundation for human innovation and foresight. By the time distant mountains and rivers appeared on the horizon, exhaustion and exhilaration intertwined. The tribe had endured floods, predators, rival humans, and storms. They had learned the value of cooperation, strategy, and courage. And yet, a lingering question remained: what lay beyond the next ridge, the next river, the next unknown expanse? The future promised both discovery and danger, and the suspense of the unknown drove them onward. The human spirit, tested to its limits, continued to press forward, adapting and evolving with every step. This migration transformed the tribe. They were no longer simply wanderers, they had become learners of the world, tacticians of survival, and architects of knowledge. Every challenge faced, every predator evaded, every river crossed, was a lesson etched into memory, passed down to ensure the survival of the next generation. And still, the unknown beckoned, a silent, suspenseful force that promised both peril and opportunity. The journey of early humans was far from complete, yet every trial, every success, every misstep had brought them closer to mastery of their environment and themselves. The shadow of uncertainty lingered even as the sun rose over distant valleys. For every safe passage and every meal secured, there was the knowledge that countless dangers waited, unseen and unpredictable. The tribe's survival was never assured, it had to be earned anew each day. Yet, in this relentless challenge, the spark of ingenuity, resilience, and courage burned brighter than ever, lighting a path that would ultimately define the trajectory of human history. The journey continued, suspenseful, dangerous, and awe-inspiring, a testament to the indomitable spirit of those who dared to leave the familiar behind. The horizon was no longer a boundary, it was a challenge, a call to venture into lands unknown. Early humans had survived countless winters, learned the rhythms of rivers and forests, but the world beyond their familiar valleys remained a mystery. Driven by hunger, curiosity, and the subtle push of survival instincts, they began to move. Families packed their few possessions, carrying the fragile hope that distant lands might promise abundance. Every step was a gamble, every river crossing or cliff descent a test of courage and cunning. Migration was not a journey for the faint of heart. Children cried at the unknown, elders fretted over every shadow, while hunters scanned the treeline for predators. The terrain itself seemed conspiring. Fast rivers, jagged mountains, and dense forests threatened to halt progress at every turn. But the tribe pressed onward, learning from each obstacle, adapting with strategies born of both necessity and ingenuity. Knowledge of edible plants, shelter construction, and fire-making became weapons against an indifferent and often hostile world. The tension rose as the tribe encountered rivals, other humans competing for the same scarce resources. Conflict was rarely avoidable. Yet, survival demanded more than brute strength, it required diplomacy, cunning, and at times, stealth. The stories of these encounters would echo for generations, warnings of the dangers of overconfidence, and lessons in strategy and cooperation. Within these trials, the human mind began to sharpen, realizing that the greatest threat was not just nature, but misjudgment and hesitation. As they ventured further, the tribe faced natural disasters that tested the limits of endurance. Torrential rains flooded riverbanks, sudden landslides blocked familiar paths, and severe storms drove them to seek shelter in caves that would later reveal the earliest signs of communal living. These harrowing experiences forced the tribe to innovate. Makeshift rafts carried them across swollen rivers, fire served as both warmth and protection, and intricate trail markers ensured no one was lost. Every disaster honed survival instincts, building a collective intelligence passed from one generation to the next. Yet danger was never absent. Predators stalked these migratory paths with relentless patience. Wolves, saber-toothed cats, and massive bears tested their vigilance. Each night was a suspenseful struggle to remain unseen, to outwit creatures whose hunting skills rivaled their own. Some hunters vanished, leaving the tribe to mourn while others learned from the mistakes, adjusting strategies in ways that would echo through time. Every loss carried both grief and instruction, an eerie reminder that survival was earned at a high cost. Despite the peril, there were moments of breathtaking discovery. New landscapes offered fruits, animals, and raw materials never seen before. The tribe began to experiment with the unfamiliar, cautiously tasting, testing, and memorizing patterns. Every encounter was a learning experience, every risk, a chance to gain knowledge that could determine life or death. The migration was not merely movement, it was evolution in motion, an education carved into flesh and memory by the relentless trials of the unknown. By the time the first mountains loomed on the horizon, exhaustion and exhilaration intermingled. The tribe had survived floods, predators, and rival groups, yet the question remained, could they endure the challenges that lay even farther ahead? The night would soon fall, and with it, the familiar tension returned. Darkness, ever a companion, reminded them that each step into new territory carried unseen consequences. The next day promised both discovery and danger, leaving the tribe on the knife edge between triumph and catastrophe. Their journey had transformed them. No longer merely wanderers, they had become learners of the world, architects of survival, and strategists of the unknown. Yet even as they pressed onward, a haunting question lingered: what secrets did these uncharted lands hold, and how many would pay the ultimate price to uncover them? In the shadowed corners of caves and beneath layers of sediment, secrets of the past waited silently, buried and almost forgotten. Early humans had left traces of their existence, carved bones, stone tools, and primitive markings, but what these remnants truly signified remained shrouded in mystery. Archaeologists and historians would one day stumble upon these clues, yet even today, each discovery raised more questions than answers. How did they learn, adapt, and survive? What strategies allowed them to endure in a world teeming with unseen dangers? The first clue often appeared as a chipped stone, its edges honed to a precision that spoke of intention, skill, and foresight. Each tool was more than just an instrument, it was a testament to the ingenuity of minds long past. In the hands of early hunters, these tools transformed vulnerability into power. Every strike of a stone against bone, every sharpened edge, carried the weight of survival, a silent echo of struggles waged in darkness. Yet for every tool found, many more vanished, leaving gaps that tantalized and frustrated those seeking to understand the full story. Cave walls told stories in the language of shadow and pigment. Smudges of red ochre, crude depictions of animals, and abstract markings hinted at knowledge beyond mere survival, perhaps ritual, observation, or even an early form of communication. These fragments raised suspenseful questions: were they documentation, a warning, or a tribute? Were these markings part of a broader culture, or the isolated musings of a single observer? With every discovery, the past seemed more vivid yet more elusive, a tantalizing puzzle that refused easy answers. Bones uncovered in these ancient sites revealed both triumph and tragedy. They showed the injuries of battle with predators, the wear from relentless foraging, and sometimes, evidence of human conflict. Each fragment became a character in a silent narrative of struggle, ambition, and survival. Some bones bore marks of careful tool use, others bore signs of violent encounters. The interplay of violence and survival created a story steeped in tension, reminding us that early humans lived on a knife's edge, where knowledge, courage, and luck determined life or death. Among the most tantalizing finds were objects that seemed almost out of place: a carefully shaped pendant, a piece of charcoal arranged in geometric patterns, a bone etched with strange symbols. These items suggested cognition beyond mere instinct, the ability to plan, imagine, and perhaps even reflect. Yet interpretation remained uncertain, leaving historians and viewers alike suspended in curiosity. Were these early signs of culture, religion, or a deeper, unspoken understanding of the world? Each artifact was a thread leading into a labyrinth of possibility, challenging modern assumptions about the ingenuity of our ancestors. The suspense deepened with each new dig. Layers of earth, untouched for tens of thousands of years, often revealed unexpected connections: a tool found near a hearth, a burial site next to a water source, a cave painting aligned with the seasonal sun. The deeper researchers probed, the more intricate the web became, suggesting a level of awareness and adaptation that defied simple explanation. Survival was no longer only about brute force, it was about observation, foresight, and the quiet intelligence that allowed early humans to interpret patterns in nature and respond with creativity. Yet, even with all these revelations, the past remained stubbornly silent in many ways. Entire chapters of human ingenuity had been lost to time, leaving gaps that invited speculation and imagination. The most haunting question lingered: how much did these early humans know, and how did they pass it on? Every discovery was a double-edged sword, illuminating one mystery while revealing countless more. This tension, the balance of knowledge and the unknown, created a suspense that was both frustrating and mesmerizing. As the light of discovery faded into reflection, the narrative turned inward. These remnants of the past were not just artifacts, they were echoes of real people, individuals who had lived, feared, loved, and fought for survival. By studying their traces, we glimpsed the emotional depths of early human life, the challenges they faced, and the ingenuity they employed to navigate a dangerous world. Yet the ultimate question remained, lingering like a shadow in the caves they had once inhabited: with all this evidence, do we truly understand how early humans survived, or have we only glimpsed the surface of a far more complex story? The unknown pressed close, a constant reminder that survival was never guaranteed. Early humans faced threats they could not always predict: sudden climate shifts, unfamiliar predators, and rival tribes competing for resources. Each day became a test of wit, courage, and endurance, where one misstep could mean the difference between life and death. Every action, every decision, carried consequences that rippled through the tribe, shaping not only their immediate survival but the evolution of their collective intelligence. Nightfall brought a different kind of terror. Darkness was no longer simply the absence of light, it was a stage for unseen predators, hidden dangers, and the whispers of the wind that hinted at movement just beyond sight. Hunters had learned to rely on more than strength, they relied on ingenuity, instinct, and subtle forms of communication that bound the tribe together. Every rustle of leaves, every glint of eyes in the firelight, was a signal of potential danger. Fear and strategy coexisted, driving humans to develop traps, fire signals, and silent warnings that allowed them to navigate the perilous nocturnal world. The night demanded respect, for it was alive with threat. Environmental challenges intensified the stakes. Torrential rains swelled rivers, blocking familiar paths and forcing the tribe to improvise shelters beneath cliffs or in caves. Hunger gnawed at the edges of every mind, sharpening instincts but also increasing the risk of rash decisions. Some hunters ventured too far in pursuit of food, returning with supplies or not at all. Every success brought relief, every failure left grief and hard-learned lessons etched into memory. Survival was an education written in fire, blood, and bone, and the tribe absorbed it with every step. Humans began to confront the unknown proactively. Tools were refined, hunting tactics became more sophisticated, and cooperation evolved into strategic intelligence. Leadership emerged as a crucial force, individuals whose quick thinking, courage, and decisiveness could rally the tribe through danger. But leadership carried its own burden, the weight of responsibility, the pressure of every life entrusted to them. The tension was relentless, a reminder that survival demanded not only strength but wisdom, courage, and foresight. Rival tribes introduced yet another layer of danger. Encounters were unpredictable, sometimes violent, sometimes cautious. Each interaction demanded careful observation, diplomacy, or even deception. Misreading intentions could result in massacre, understanding them could lead to alliance or coexistence. These confrontations became crucibles of strategy, shaping the evolution of social cohesion, foresight, and tactical intelligence. Every skirmish left traces, scars that spoke of cunning, adaptability, and the relentless drive to survive. Then came the ultimate test, an unforeseen predator, larger and more cunning than anything they had previously faced. Hunters scrambled, using every tool, every strategy honed over generations. Fear sharpened their senses, yet panic could not be allowed to take hold. The confrontation became a tense, cinematic struggle, a moment where instinct, skill, and intelligence collided. In a desperate series of maneuvers, the tribe fought to protect one another, using fire, traps, and quick thinking to drive the predator away. The encounter was both terrifying and transformative, forcing them to adapt in ways that would influence generations to come. Through these trials, humans learned not merely to survive, but to thrive. They discovered patterns in nature, mastered timing, and learned to anticipate behaviors, both of animals and other humans. Each challenge overcome was a lesson etched into collective memory, forming the foundation of knowledge passed down and refined over generations. The tension, fear, and uncertainty were not obstacles alone, they were catalysts, shaping humans into architects of their own destiny. Yet the unknown remained. Each victory was tempered by the realization that new dangers lay just beyond sight. The narrative of survival was far from complete, mysteries persisted, threats lingered, and lessons yet to be learned waited in the shadows. The tribe had endured, but the ultimate test of adaptability and resilience was still ahead. And so, the story continued, a suspenseful march toward mastery of both the environment and the self, setting the stage for the next chapter of human ingenuity and evolution. The story of early humans was far more than survival, it was a testament to resilience, ingenuity, and the relentless drive to endure against impossible odds. As dawn broke over the landscapes they had traversed, one could almost imagine the echoes of lives long past, children laughing and crying, hunters returning from dangerous forays, elders guiding with quiet authority. Every mark on a cave wall, every tool painstakingly crafted, and every buried bone told a story of determination and adaptability. These were not anonymous shadows of history but real individuals whose choices, triumphs, and tragedies shaped the foundation of humanity. The lessons they left behind were subtle yet profound. Fire had transformed their world, offering warmth, protection, and the ability to cook and preserve food. Tools, honed to deadly precision, had shifted the balance between predator and prey, turning vulnerability into power. Social bonds, alliances, and communication became as critical as strength and skill, proving that survival was as much about cooperation as it was about individual prowess. In every gesture, every ritual, and every carefully passed down skill, one could see the emergence of intelligence and foresight that would define human evolution. Yet the legacy of early humans was also marked by shadow and danger. Violence, both from nature and from other humans, had been a constant presence. Injuries and death were omnipresent, shaping not only their physical form but their collective psyche. The scars left on bones and the traces found in ruins were silent witnesses to the brutal realities of their existence. Yet through all adversity, they persevered, learning, adapting, and discovering methods that would allow their descendants to not just survive, but flourish. Their story was a delicate balance of triumph and tragedy, and the remnants of that struggle still echoed through the archaeological record. What made this legacy extraordinary was the depth of human ingenuity. Early humans had begun to observe patterns in the seasons, animal behaviors, and the landscape itself. They experimented, failed, adapted, and succeeded. They developed strategies for hunting in packs, gathering in groups, and defending their communities against threats too large for any single individual. They learned to plan for the future, storing food, creating tools for multiple purposes, and passing knowledge to the next generation. Every act of survival was layered with thought, observation, and emotion, demonstrating that even in a world dominated by danger, the human mind could create order and opportunity. Perhaps the most haunting aspect of their story was how much remained unknowable. For every tool or artifact discovered, countless others had vanished without a trace. Entire stories of heroism, failure, innovation, and loss had been swallowed by time. Some rituals, some strategies, some relationships left no record beyond subtle traces, challenging modern understanding. Archaeologists and historians piecing together these fragments often felt a mixture of exhilaration and frustration, recognizing that the past was tantalizingly visible yet stubbornly silent in critical ways. It was this very ambiguity that lent the story its tension, suspense, and enduring fascination. The emotional landscape of these early communities was as complex as the physical one. Bonds of family and tribe, the care for children, the mourning of the dead, and the protective instincts of hunters all reflected deeply human emotions. Fear was ever present, yet courage and ingenuity often outweighed it. Joy and relief followed successful hunts, while grief and anger marked tragic losses. Through this spectrum of experience, early humans revealed the essence of what it meant to be human, capable of empathy, intelligence, and resourcefulness in the face of overwhelming challenges. These traits would become the very foundation upon which future civilizations would rise. Even in their struggles, early humans displayed remarkable foresight. They experimented with agriculture, sought shelter in safer terrains, and observed natural phenomena with the intent of learning from them. Each innovation, each new skill, was an investment in the future, ensuring that subsequent generations could build upon their knowledge. Their victories were rarely solitary, they were collective, passed down as stories, as traditions, and as practices that became the backbone of human culture. Survival was not merely a personal triumph, it was a communal achievement, a legacy inscribed across generations. Yet the story is not just one of success. There was always mystery, loss, and danger lurking at the edges. Some tribes vanished entirely, leaving behind only faint traces of their existence. Some innovations were lost to time, only to be rediscovered millennia later. The tension between survival and extinction was constant, reminding us that early human life was fragile, precarious, and endlessly fascinating. Even as some endured, others were claimed by nature or circumstance, leaving a haunting reminder of the delicate balance that underpinned their existence. In the final reckoning, what emerges is a portrait of humanity in its rawest form.